Okay, so we're back in our admissions video project, and we have our voiceover in a sequence already. And now what I want to do is I want to bring in some music as well. So I have a track already picked out. I'm going to go into my short tracks. I'm just going to find it real quick. I'm going to use this 58-second version of a song called Violet Letter. Okay, and I'm just going to play this and hear what it sounds like with the voiceover and the music.
What do you want? A place of creativity, innovation, diversity, a place of belonging.
And right away I can tell that the music is overpowering the voiceover. So I'm going to first hit G on my keyboard. You could also right click and choose audio gain. And this is going to bring up this dialog box that allows us to change the level of our audio. So it works with whatever track we have selected. So we have our music track selected here. And I'm going to adjust my gain by, I'm going to say -15 and see how that works. Usually somewhere between -12 and -20 is going to work really well for you when you're pairing both vocal audio and music. So I'm going to set that music to -15 decibels. And now let's listen.
Thriving, prospering. Whether you want to be an engineer.
I feel like that's a pretty good mix. I do want to boost Phil's voice a little bit though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Window, Audio Track Mixer. I'm going to grab the name of this and I'm going to pop it into my window up here. I'm going to pull down this arrow and then I'm going to choose one of these racks to put an effect on. So this Audio Track Mixer allows you to unilaterally adjust tracks of audio. So we have audio track 1 would be our voiceover. Audio track 2 right now is music. We could have many, many more tracks in that. But right now we just have 2. So this is audio track 1 furthest to the left. And if you scroll down, you can actually see it labeled down here, audio 1. What I want to do is I want to choose one of these positions where you can drop an effect, and I'm going to choose amplitude and compression and multi-band compressor. I'm going to double click on that. And I'm just going to change one thing. I'm going to change my margin from -0.1 decibels to -2 decibels. And I'm going to click outside of that, X out of it, everything's saved for me. So what this multi-band compressor is going to do for us is it's primarily going to bring up some of the lower levels to match some of the mid levels of the audio and just give us a more uniform level for our voiceover. So let's listen now.
Or a broadcaster, or a rocket scientist. The possibilities here are endless.
So I think that sounds really good. Now, there's a couple of things that I want to do. First of all, I don't want the voiceover to start right at the beginning. I kind of want to start it when the music kind of picks up, and you can see in my waveform where that happens. It's really quiet here, and then it bumps up right here. So I'm going to drag this just kind of approximately to where I think I want it to start, and let's see how that sounds.
What do you want? A place of creativity, innovation, diversity.
And that sounds pretty good to me. Okay, so now one problem we need to address is that our song is much longer than we need it to be. Looks like we want our song to be somewhere around 47 seconds long because we want to have a little bit of space after the voiceover is done so that we can maybe, show one more shot and then maybe, put up a URL like find out more at bolus.org/admission, something like that. So I'm going to show you a trick to adjust your audio to be any length that you want it. So I'm going to right click on my music and I'm going to say edit clip in Adobe Audition. And Adobe Audition is a dedicated audio editing software in the Adobe Creative Suite, and it works really well with Premiere. They interface great together. So it's going to open up a window that looks like this, and we're going to say File, New, Multi-Track Session. And I'm going to call this Violet Letter 47 seconds because that's my name of my song and my target length. I'm going to click on Browse, and I want to make sure that this goes into my music folder. I'm going to say Select Folder and hit OK. And then I'm going to pull my music track, which is this one that you can see the name of the track as well as the audio waveform symbol. I'm going to pull it into my track 1. We don't need all the rest of these tracks. And then I'm going to pull on this scroll bar up here just so I can see the whole thing. I'm going to go over to my Essential Sound panel and I'm going to choose an audio type. It's music, so I'm going to click on that. I want to uncheck loudness because I don't want to change the volume of my music. I just want to change the duration. So I'm going to click on duration, and then I'm going to say my target length is 0 minutes and 47 seconds. I'm going to click on remix. This is really important. We don't want to stretch our music. We want to have Audition remix it so it sounds seamless. And I'll show you what I mean in a second. So I'm going to hit remix, and Audition is going to try to find measures of music that it can take out to make the song shorter, and then it's going to show us where it made those cuts. So this jagged line is where it made a cut. Let's see if it sounds seamless. Really does. The only problem I'm noticing is that this is more like 53 seconds and I want to be more like 47 seconds. So Audition does its best to hit your target length, but like I said, it's going to look for measures of music to take out, and it can only work with the music that it has. So I'm going to try to undershoot a little bit. I'm going to say 0 minutes and 42 seconds and see if that makes a difference. And it does. You can see that now Audition has remixed it to be about 48 seconds. So let's go listen to this cut because it's in a different place now. We want to make sure it sounds seamless. Perfect. So this is going to work for me. I'm going to say File, Export, Export to Adobe Premiere Pro. Now to get this new shorter version back into Premiere, what we need to do is go to File, Export, Export to Adobe Premiere Pro. And all we need to do here is make sure that this Open in Adobe Premiere Pro box is checked, and then click Export. It's going to take us back over to Premiere and then give us this dialog box that asks us if we want to copy this new track to the active sequence, and we do. So we're going to click OK. So now what we have is our shorter version down here and our longer version up here. I'm going to go ahead and delete the original longer version, and I'm going to pull my short version up to audio track 2. And let's see what this sounds like.
One takes for the community is a step for all. What do you want?
I feel like that really helps to have the music end right there. It kind of punctuates what Phil is saying. Okay, a couple more things we need to do. For one thing, we fade out kind of rough here with Phil's audio. It just ends abruptly. You can hear the room noise and everything. So I don't need all of this excess at the end. I'm going to cut it before we get to this blip in the audio that you can see in the waveform here. I'm going to make a cut with my blade tool, and then I'm going to select the part I don't want and delete it. And then I'm going to click on the edge of this clip here. And this is a transition zone. So you have transition zones on the edge of clips. And then you also have transition zones if you have two clips next to each other. You have this line in between them, and you can click on that, and we can add transitions there. So I'm going to undo that because I don't need a cut there. I'm going to zoom in with my zoom tool so I can see what I'm doing. Click on this edge here with my selection tool. And then I'm going to, on the keyboard, hit Control-Shift-D. And that's going to add a constant power crossfade. Now what this is doing is it's lowering my audio from full volume all the way down to no volume over the course of this transition. So I probably want to drag in the edge of this, again with my selection tool, just hovering over the edge and dragging in. I'm going to drag it till after the point where Phil is done speaking.
What do you want?
So you can hear it fading out. It's maybe still a little bit rough. I'm going to maybe extend it a couple more frames.
What do you want?
But that's much smoother than it was before. I'm going to do the same thing. In fact, I might just click on this, hit Control-C to copy, and then Control-V to paste it at the beginning of my voiceover. Now, it's doing the opposite thing now. It's not bringing the audio down from full volume to no volume. It's bringing it up from no volume to full volume.
What do you want?
And that just gives us a nice clean start to the audio. Let's say there was a place where we wanted to take out some audio. So I'm not saying that I would do this in this voiceover, but let's find a place to cut, and then I'll show you how to transition between those two cuts. So first thing I'm going to do, this is a really cool thing that you can do when you're working with audio. I'm going to solo this track by hitting that. It turns yellow, this S turns yellow, and that just makes it so we're only going to hear what's in this track. You could also hit M to mute this track, and then we would only hear the music. So I guess another way we could work on our voiceover here is to hit M on the music. But I like the solo button. It just seems more intuitive to me. So I'm going to hit that solo button, and then I'm going to play forward.
What do you want? A place of creativity, innovation, diversity, a place of belonging, thriving, prospering.
So I'm going to say maybe, again, I wouldn't actually do this, but I'm going to cut out this section here.
A place of belonging, thriving, prospering.
and then I will delete this section, pull over the rest of my voiceover, and then we have this area here where we have a cut to our audio.
Whether you want,
And there's a little bit of a blip there. It's kind of hard to hear.
whether you,
And I want to get rid of that. So I'm going to click on my transition zone, hit Control-Shift-D, and that's going to add a constant power crossfade. And now what this is doing is it's going to take this segment here from full volume to no volume, while it takes this segment from no volume to full volume. So let's hear what that sounds like. I'm going to spread it out even more just to exaggerate what's happening here.
diversity, whether you want to be an
So you can hear Phil's voice in this first clip falling over the course of this transition, and you can hear his voice in the second clip rising over the course of this transition. Now, the way that we use constant power crossfades usually for vocal audio is in really short segments. So I'm going to drag it down to something like 4 frames,
diversity, whether you want to,
and that just kind of smooths out that area there. Sometimes 2 frames is enough. So somewhere between 2 and 4 frames can help us just get rid of some of those blips in the audio. So if you make any cuts, if you cut out any blank space that you didn't want in your voiceover, or if you decide to cut out a line, or if you compress any part of it, then using those constant power crossfades is a really good idea. I'm going to go ahead and undo all of that because I like that section of the voiceover. I'm going to zoom out and let's just listen to this really quickly.
what do you want? A place of creativity, innovation, diversity, a place of belonging, thriving, prospering. Whether you want to be an engineer, or a broadcaster, or a rocket scientist, the possibilities here are endless. We respect, we challenge, we are ambitious, curious, we work and play as one. When we push past our limits, we reach the unknown. We strive to accept and respect our peers and encourage, not tear down. And every step that one takes for the community is a step for all. What do you want?
I think that sounds great. So I'm going to hit Control-S to save, and then in the next video, I'll show you a little bit about the footage that I gave you and some cool things that we can do with it. Thanks for watching.